Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So today is the 8th of July 2020, and the guys at 1C Game Studios have released their pretty big 4.008 update for IL-2 today. The big piece of news is that the first plane for the Battle of Normandy, the P-47D-22 Razorback, is now available in early access. So if you pre-ordered it, you should be able to access it right now. Alright, let's take a look and see what we get with the Razorback. Modifications. Oh yeah, of course we're going to take 150 grade fuel. Why wouldn't you? So this one here looks like you can have removal of 2 external guns to reduce weight. I don't know why I'd ever want to do that. Removal of 4 guns to reduce weight. Additional ammo. Ground attack modification. That looks fun. What do you get? Some rockets and some bombs. Always a good time. You get a fixed loop radio compass for navigation with radio beacons. So these are all of your possible modifications. Let's take a look at the paint schemes. Ooh, Kansas Tornado 2, that's rather nice. The Blonde Angel, 410th. 61st, Easy Angels, Georgie Faye, Pengy 2, Heart, that's kind of cool. Button Nose, looks like a little Donald Duck on the front there. Okie, and the 255th IAP. Man, there's some pretty cool ones in here. I'm having a hard time choosing. What am I going to go with? I kind of like this one. Let's roll with that, and let's see what we got. Alright, I'm going to start this video off by saying I suck in the P-47. So it's a boom and zoom fighter, and I am just not that good at those kind of tactics. I'm really good at bleeding speed in a P-47, but never regaining it. Let's see if I can sneak up behind this guy here. Man. Just like the other one, this guy bleeds speed really fast. Ooh, got a couple shots in on him, thank God. Not so bad if I can catch these guys. Again, it goes back to I'm not the best in a P-47 scenario. So anyway, the plane looks fantastic, as one might expect. Outstanding details. Well, I managed to pull away from this guy a little bit, but maintaining 300 mile an hour is really a challenge in this thing. As soon as you turn a little bit, you're back at 200. I just want to line myself up and get a shot on this guy, but I just can't seem to do it very well. There we go. So the thing I've learned about this thing is I may not be able to maneuver in it, but if you manage to make contact, you really put a hurting on somebody, and I'm good with that. Because that dude is hurting a lot. And he's probably going in. Nope, he's still going. I guess the key thing is just turning slower. Don't turn fast like I'm used to doing in a Spitfire or a Mustang. Just make your turn a little bit slower. Don't pull so hard on the stick. And just kind of ease into it to maintain some airspeed. Come on. Is he going in or what? Yes. Haha. So that's kind of the thing I'm learning here. You've got to be patient with this plane. You know, it's very hard for me to learn this, and it has been. I mean, it's not just the P-47 in this, it's the P-47 in DCS. And it was the previous P-47 in this as well that I just had a hard time in the air-to-air roll. And I'm starting to learn that I'm better off when I just make those turns slight. You know, turn just a little bit at a time.
Proceed with your mission. Winds from the east. Ruffman artillery spotted.
Because this thing becomes pretty useless pretty fast when you start yanking and banking on the stick.
This is Groundhog.
I guess you'd be more worried about them 190s, but... Hey, those guys went down rather easy. The guns on this thing is pretty devastating. It doesn't take a lot. If you can make contact, you're putting a hurting on something, which is the really fun part. So this thing is super durable and super powerful when it comes to firepower. What it's not so good at is turning and regaining speed. Unless you dive. And the one thing I've learned is you want to kind of turn slowly, and it's really difficult for me to do that with the mentality that I have of flying Spitfires and Mustangs and P-38s that just seem to have unlimited power, you know. My understanding is this thing is powerful, but you have to fly it differently, and I am just not that good at flying a P-47. So this video is somewhat of a challenge for me. Alright guys, so one thing that this plane is also rather good at is ground pounding. You could take a variety of bombs and rockets. I tend to like the rockets, but I don't really aim them that well. But I make an effort. There we go. Nice, one more down. I'll take it. You know, I never noticed the black smoke when the artillery fires at whatever it's firing at. That's pretty cool. I never noticed that before.
Rough man, this is Marmite in contact. Rifleman, leader, artillery.
Let's also take a look around the cockpit here real quick. Wish I can get the lighting to hit it just right. There we go, it's a little better. Really nice job. Again, I think these guys are right up there with the other guys at this point in terms of what they do in the cockpit. I mean, this shit looks amazing. Just outstanding work.
Rock Command, this is objective complete. Rock Command, this is sweep space. Objective completed. Return to base. Ruffman, leader, rider.
Uh-oh, there goes my engine. I got an oil leak. They hit me. That sounds like shit.
This is Marmite. In contact. Proceed with your mission. Winds from the southeast. Rock Command, this is Marmite. Destroy enemy.
Well, it was fun while it lasted, guys.
North. Range about 1 mile. Ruffman, leader, transport. Spotted.
So one of the other things that they've done with the 4.008 update was supposedly finished off tank crew. So they've added the SDKFZ.184 Ferdinand tank destroyer. Alrighty, let's take a look at the modifications for the Ferdinand. Armor-piercing high explosive, subcaliber, high explosive, and reversed gun mantelet shield. I don't know a lot about tanks, guys, so I'm just going to go with that. What do we got for paint schemes? It's white or it's not. It's that simple. I'm good with that. Here's the external view. As one might expect, it looks pretty fantastic in here. That deferred renderer is really nice. I'm bouncing between 140 and 189 FPS, 200 FPS in the top corner. Pretty awesome. And here's a better shot of the Ferdinand, in case you wanted to see it. This is what was added in 4.008. Apparently, I have no clue what I'm doing in tanks, so I'm going to have to watch some videos and figure out what to do here, because it is not intuitive at all, unfortunately. I've heard it's really fun. Jason and Daniel was telling me how awesome the tank battles is, but man, it just does not seem very intuitive. So watch for another video on that once I figure it out. So Battle of Moscow players have a few things that they can find in the 4.008 update. The first of which is there are 3 new training missions for the MiG-3. Migalovo training winds calm, right wind, and left wind. And essentially these are just training scenarios to take off or taxi, take off, make a couple turns, and land, and then taxi to parking. I really, really love the MiG-3, but you know what? I think they could have done a little bit better with that. Just 3 different missions, one with a wind to the right, one with a wind to the left, and one with calm winds, just to show you how to taxi, take off, make a few turns, land, taxi back to the parking way. I mean, I get it. Training is cool and all, but I don't know. I think it would have been more useful to give us a couple more combat missions, but to each their own. And the other improvement is the IL-2 mod.1941. So, in this plane, they've added 4K textures now. I think it looked fantastic to begin with, but it's nice that they're updating a lot of these older planes with newer textures. as one might expect with the new renderer, everything looks fantastic, and the updated textures are a welcome improvement. So all in all, the list of fixes, improvements, etc., is a whopping 74, I believe. Without going through them all, I'm just going to read off a few that kind of stand out to me. So yeah, like the new training missions added for Battle of Moscow for the MiG-3. That was the Migolavo training missions. The residual inertia in the first-person non-VR view of gradual zoom at maximum zoom and maximum zooming speed option when not using a mouse for looking around has been addressed. And I think this sounds like kind of an issue that I was having when I would use my wheel to zoom in while I'm using my track IR, and it started to kind of wiggle around a little bit, and I noticed it hasn't been doing that. That is fix number 61 on their list of many improvements. They've done a lot of stuff with the AI. There is, let's see, 54 through 60 include a variety of AI improvements. AI fighters won't chase its target too far from their assigned route or area of operations. AI pilots won't try to attack targets with the parameter engageable equals 0, which could cause steep diving on a ground target with no chance of recovery. AI pilots aim at air and ground targets better, and the rockets and projectiles won't fall short of a ground target at the beginning of a burst. That's interesting. Visual crew improvements. The holes in the texture of the American flare gun were eliminated. The texture of the flare gun on the British pilot model has been corrected. Shooting any pistol ejects a casing now. And Soviet tankers have less gloss effect on their faces, so it looks like a variety of interesting little visual improvements. Looks like they did a ton of stuff to the tanks too. Looks like player controllable tank improvements 25 through 48 are all improvements to tank crew. That's a ton. And again, it includes the Ferdinand now. And let's see, 8 through 24 are aircraft improvements. And this is something they had talked about. So, the P-47D-22 is the Razorback, but the P-47D-28 is the original one. And they've corrected a lot of the flight model stuff. So dampening moments have been corrected, resulting in more inert and heavy feel of the controls. Also in the P-47D-28, controls effectiveness has been corrected. The maximum roll rate has been reduced to correspond to historical data. At high speeds before the air compressor effects kick in, the aircraft is more controllable along the roll and pitch axes. During the Mach tuck, the controls lose effectiveness, making exiting a dive more difficult. Maximum wing lift with extended flaps has been reduced. The engine thermal model has been corrected. It became more resistant to overheating. The visual image of the rotating rotor head has been improved. The problem with the rotation of the bent screw when using boost has been fixed. P-47D-28 also has the 150 octane fuel modification. The injection system has been corrected. When there's no liquid in the system left, the engine can't be switched to WEP mode. Pressure gauge shows the correct pressure in the injection system now. The description of the aircraft and related tips in the Techno Chat were updated. And let's see, the outside and inside sound mismatch has been addressed. And again, there's a variety of other little fixes and improvements for other aircraft as well. And lastly, support for SRS Radio Voice Comms app. So this is a separate app, and there's a link in the notes for 4.008. And it says the final version of SRS for IL-2 is still a work in progress by its author and will be released soon. we've created a special section in the forum dedicated to SRS instructions and discussions. So you can find that, and I'll throw a link to that in the video description as usual. So, scripted campaigns. So the Ice Ring is now available, and I had mentioned this the other day in a news bit, and this is now available for purchase. If you head on over to their website, you'll find it if you want it. And this is essentially a campaign for Stalingrad. So that's kind of cool. So if you didn't buy any of the other products and you're looking for some new content and you just happen to have Stalingrad, there's a new campaign for you, and it's called Ice Ring. So I think that pretty much covers the majority of the improvements and corrections. But the P-47D Razorback, whew, I think it's a pretty cool plane, but let me back this up by saying I suck at flying any P-47, and that includes the DCS one, that includes the original one in here, and now the Razorback. You know, I think, you know, if you like the P-47, you're going to like this, but like if you're used to flying a Mustang, or a Spitfire, or a P-38, you may be disappointed with the Razorback and the other P-47, or any P-47. Let me just say that. Let me clarify this so, you know, people don't take this the wrong way. It's definitely a different kind of plane. It just takes more patience than what I have. I'm used to yanking and banking and putting a crosshair on a target and pulling a trigger. I think the Normandy stuff is going to be absolutely awesome, and it really does look cool from what they've got going on. I just kind of wish the first plane was something other than another P-47D, but I get it. You know, I get it. DCS has a new P-47 module. Their previous P-47 in here, there were some people complaining about the flight model characteristics, and with this patch, even if you don't have Normandy pre-ordered to fly the Razorback, your other P-47 has a variety of improvements. And I think most may find that that puts it more in line with where it should possibly be based on everything that I read in terms of those improvements and fixes that they've performed. So, again, I am not in any way hating on what they've done with the Razorback, or the other P-47 for that matter. I just know that I suck at flying a P-47, and it's unfortunate. And maybe I'll get better at it, but it's definitely really trying my patience, and it's just one of those things that's not entirely for me. And I really tried to, you know. So that is the preview of the Razorback and what it entails and what it offers from the Normandy map. And there's a lot more from where that came from as the development of that continues on. And they did say that, you know, things are coming together rather well for that, but it's still a long ways off. And this is a wonderful improvement for IL-2 Great Battles in general. And I will include an entire link to the entire list, rather, of fixes improvements, all 74 of them. And you can check it out for yourself. And if you have any one of these products, the 4.008 update updates the Great Battles series in general. So if you have Stalingrad, it will update and give you the majority of those improvements to all the planes that you have in Stalingrad. If you have Moscow, then you have a variety of improvements that are included in here for Moscow. If you have Kuban, you may not get the things that come with the Moscow improvements, but the AI improvements that they talked about are definitely going to be in there for you. Very cool stuff overall. I really like how they've handled this and how they handle updating their entire series of products, because it's essentially the same engine across the board. And if you own one or all of them, you usually benefit from a variety of these fixes improvements. For instance, the deferred renderer. Any one of those products, Kuban, Bodenplatte, Moscow, Stalingrad, every one of them benefit from that. Every one of them will benefit from the, the SRS that they've created. VR. VR in general. All of these products run great under VR. So I think it's probably the best going series right now in World War II flight sims, and it's definitely affordable. It's on sale right now still, so check that out if you haven't. Like I said, even if you got Battle of Stalingrad, you know, all the improvements and fixes that are up to 4.0088 would be included in that, except for content or planes that are specific to Stalingrad would be all that you would have to deal with, you know, unless you purchase the other ones. So as always, thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. Feel free to hit that like button. And until next time, guys.